And now, the Deep Homie Guide to the 21st Century.
Life hacks. Life hacks.
The Ned Report.
Science fiction coming true.
Propaganda report.
Deep homies across the world.
What's up, baby? Today's March 23rd, 2021, and I'd like to welcome you back to the Deep Homie Guide to the 21st Century. My name is Karam Anthony, sometimes known as Deep Homie K. I'd like to welcome you back to this very special show, the only variety show that I'm aware of that's focused on the future of humanity and your place in it. We've got a very special episode today. I have a Zoom call that I recorded with one of my best friends in the world, an extraordinary jazz pianist, keyboardist, vocalist, Sebastian Bharj. All right, I think the jackhammer has finally stopped outside, so we might have a moment to talk. But anyway, yeah, back to the life hacks. Back to the life hacking to make ourselves the best we can be, to contribute to this world peace, to this world evolution, this world project. And none better to speak about it with than my friend, talented Sebastian Bharj. It's like I said, he's a jazz musician, originally from Brighton, England, moved to New Orleans, I believe before high school or so. Met him at Vassar College in Poughkeepsie, where we both attended. And the guy's just great. The guy's, he's splendid. He's charming. He's fun. I love his voice. You're going to love his accent. I mean, and here's the thing is that him and I are similar. Like, we're both young creatives trying to be the best creatives we can be. And it's impeccable timing on his behalf that right at the time I start the Deep Homie Guide, a show partially about life hacking yourself to be the best you can be. What do you know, but this guy goes and flies himself out to kind of a solitary environment out in Oregon, like the man's Henry David Thoreau or like the man's Bon Iver or something. I love it. He went out to Oregon. He keeps his phone off at all times. His access to the internet is limited to the Ethernet cable in the house that he's staying in. But the guy is just out there doing awesome morning routines, trying to stay off the grid, practicing his keyboard, practicing his piano, practicing his vocals in the morning for hours and hours and hours, while this COVID thing pans out. I don't really have to say too much more. I hope you really enjoy the interview I did with my great friend, Sebastian Bharj. See you afterwards.
All right. Sebastian Bharj, baby. What's going on, my friend?
Ooh,
how you doing, dog?
What is going on, man? It's all going on. Simultaneously. I've got multiple brews here, actually. I've got the Deep Homie Cacao, but also just because water, because you need water's. You always got to stay hydrated,
Yeah, it's just water. That's what I got right here, man. Just some
fantastic.
fresh, clean water.
Filtered?
Filtered, double filtered, baby. I got that filter downstairs.
That seems unnecessary, but.
What's that now?
The double filter. Yeah.
Yeah, you got the Brita, and then you got the Alex Jones filter pulling out all the fluoride.
Oh, fantastic! That's a thing.
It's a brand called Alexapure. I think that other people sell it besides Alex Jones, but my parents got it for me for Christmas once, and it's cool because it takes the fluoride out.
Huh.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm actually living on a well, so I am. So it's coming straight from the ground, so there's no fluoride or anything. But
just fully cleansed, Oregonian delight.
Oregonian mountain. Yeah, mountain goodness.
Tremendous, man.
But yeah. So what's up, man? How are you?
I'm just doing pretty good, man. Are you doing good?
Yeah, it's a nice day. It's sunny. It's Sunday. I've always enjoyed Sundays.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice day, especially when the sun's shining. It's just a relaxed Sunday. It's been a long winter, and I feel like it's starting to. I don't know how it's out. You're all the way on the West Coast, but here on the East Coast, it's starting to. We're starting to get the signs of life again. The spring.
Well, you also, it's happening here. Although it did snow the other day, but yeah, there's changes in the leaves, and it has a. Spring is always nice, man. Spring's always full of that, that good, that like, let's go get it vibes.
Yeah.
I love spring. I think spring is my favorite of all the seasons.
I like fall. I like spring. I like those both because I feel like it's this metamorphoses season, and I like seeing things change like that before. You get those crisp smells after it rains or after all that. Like, you just get the crispness.
Oh, the crispness.
But it's not quite frozen.
Right. And it's not so bloody hot that, you lose the crisp. Because you need that crisp, that morning crisp. Phew.
Yeah, man. But you're from the swamp, bro. You're from all the way from down in New Orleans. So
Yeah,
those summers are something else. You get them.
You-
You get them golf summers.
God, I know. You wake up. You know, like something. The mornings are nice because if you get up early, then you get that fresh air. You know, there's that feeling of like, oh, the day is young. You know,
Yeah.
but in New Orleans, in the summer, you get up and you just get hit with that deep mug. And I remember last summer, me and my friend Dell, we did that. You know, the 48-hour challenge that Goggins put up.
I didn't see that one. I know about him.
So
but I haven't
absurd.
seen
Just
that.
like you run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the first day we decided to start it at 2 a.m. and we were like, oh, it'll be some nice fresh night air, and we didn't realize that that's like that Saharan smog or something that was coming through. What was it, like the dust? Anyways, we opened the door and it was just like putrid air, and we're like, oh god, worst New Orleans weather. Anyways,
Yeah, but you could throw your mask on, baby. Was this COVID?
oh yeah, it was. What's a mask gonna do?
I don't know. Keep the dust out. That's what the mask is like really good for. Like when I went to Burning Man with Spence back in 2014, like at night when the wind is blowing through the desert, you put a mask on, not because people are scared of pathogens, which they probably should be at Burning Man,
Right.
but just to keep the sand out of your nose.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think these were two. Yeah, maybe that would have helped.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Whatever, man. But you mentioned David Goggins, and
Yeah.
he's one of these like heavy duty discipline equals freedom type guys, right?
for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Like he was the guy that, he was really, at one point he was really obese and stuff, and then he had the whole transformation.
Right. Yeah,
He
he had
went
that
to the-
crazy transformation where he did the Hell Week for the SEALs 3 times, and then probably the most obscene thing he did was he ran with no training. And have you ever ran a long distance before? Like, what's the longest you've run?
Well, I did the biking for long distance, but
Okay, that's true.
running, I never really did much past like a 5K really. Did a lot of
so
5Ks.
He had never run probably more than 5 miles,
Yeah.
and he ran 100 miles.
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
What
His
on?
feet were
And,
all-
he like ends up like shitting himself and like pissing blood and just like having the most terrible physical experience. But he did it.
Yeah.
So whenever there's like a moment of like, oh, can I finish this extra mile? I'm like, motherfucking Goggins ran 100 miles.
Yeah.
With no experience. And
Right.
but yeah, he's one of those people for sure that like if you train the mind, if you can, he always says you callous the mind, which I like that idea.
If you train the body, you callous
the mind. Yeah, which
Yeah.
it's definitely true. I mean, it's definitely true.
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree with that. And a lot of the premise on this podcast so far has been the premise of the podcast, the Deep Homie Guide to the 21st Century, is like we're going into uncertain times. There's new technology, new trends all the time, and we're trying to surf those things. I don't want to be. It's not an Amish show. It's not a super orthodox or religious or conservative show.
Yeah.
It's not about rejecting all those new amazing technological advances in my world. It's more about can we approach them with wisdom? These cell phones, the social media, the rest of it. Can we do it with wisdom? And so then I'm using the term. I'm not the first person to use the term life hacks to sort of talk about some of these other exercises that can help us toward that kind of freedom and sort of try to get away from the attachments that these things can bring. And so a lot of these life hacks, so far, one of the major life hacks we talked on the show has been cold showers, the Wim Hof method. I had my boy Mike Hines on. He talked about cold showers. He's been cold showering for 6 years. He has seen.
That's really impressive, man. 6
and
years.
and with that, it's like you see he actually has physical change in his life. Like he actually can go. He shovels his driveway with no shoes on, like barefoot. For half an hour at a time. So he's actually calloused the body. He's actually increased his cold tolerance, which is, I think, really cool.
Yeah.
But also, I think he's also callousing the mind. He hasn't taken a warm shower in years. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's a toughening, but it's not just toughening. It's like, it's actually helping you to not be so attached to those things that are keeping you. Because when you don't have them, then you need them. If you don't have a cold shower, if you don't have a warm shower, then everything's terrible, right? And so that's sort of the essence of the life hacks, these sort of things. And you are out here right now in Oregon, Bon Ivering, I'd say, like you're out in this cabin trying to turn off your technology in a way for a while to try to get away from. This is a huge life hack. You're trying to you're doing a bunch of practices in this fold. I feel like, right?
I think
this
it's
spirit.
It's a lot of life hacks, but for me, I feel like there's there's that trend towards like optimizing everything. Like what's that guy Tim Ferriss, you know? And
Right, the 4 hour
listening
work
to him, yeah,
our workout,
the Titans,
the 4 hour whip and
right,
shake.
everything we got to make super efficient, and it's like, for me, that kind of like, it just becomes overwhelming pretty rapidly. You know, like, like if you're trying to develop a morning routine, okay, I'm gonna have a cold shower, then I'm gonna like whip up the finest brew that has all the things I need, you know, and then I'll do a quick workout, do some breath work, meditate. It's like, bloody hell, do my journaling, and all those ideas, you know, they entice me in such a way, such an emotional way, that I'm like, oh, but at the end of the day, they do more harm. They do more harm for me because it can be overwhelming. So I've realized in my particular case, and this does come down to, at the end of the day, just knowing yourself. You know what I mean? Like knowing how you as an individual are going to respond, and like what is most aligned with what you like. So in my case, it's like simplify, man. If I take away things, I just inevitably do what I need to do. You know, if I'm practicing the piano and I don't have my phone with me, I'm just going to be a better session, you know. Or if I'm trying to work on writing or whatever it is, you know, if I've got limited inputs coming in, there's a greater chance that I'll make something nice. So yeah, man.
I got you, man. I totally get that. I love that criticism right off the bat, just the criticism of the whole life hacking. But it is, but it isn't, because I think part of it too is like, even what you're doing there is sort of encompassing the life hack. Like you're trying to discipline yourself, but I think what you're saying is you're trying to pick your battles.
Yeah, I'm trying to pick my battles.
You're not just trying to do every single thing that JP, aka Jordan Peterson, which is
Young
you called him JP the other day like he was a homie.
Well, we used to shorten everything.
All right.
Anything that needs to be shortened will be shortened.
Yeah, but JP came out of nowhere.
It was completely. No one could comprehend what we were saying. I remember when we were at the D's, the dining hall that we used to go to. At one point, we were just calling every single food item shortened to its first letter. But then there was overlap, you know. You can't get like a homie, like what would a homie C be, you know? And then you'd add a homie to it, and the next thing, you know, just utterly absurd.
Yeah, man, I get it. I remember. Yeah, I get the. I don't even remember. I mean, I do remember, but what was the C? The C was in general. The C was the cook.
Was it? See, I don't even know.
Yeah, I didn't even use the word. I referenced it to even a shortening of the word to begin with. Like, we're not talking about the cooks at the D's. I'm talking about the cookies.
Oh, yes, it was cookies. That's what it was. Yeah, you were sure. Oh, wow. That's the next level.
The C.
Yeah, man.
We'd be like, should we get a little C? That would be like, then we take the stroll. We take the stroll at the D's.
Stroll.
Big Ash, Big Brett, everybody.
Yeah.
We take the stroll, and it was like the way we would just watch people and look at them.
I haven't done that in a while. I haven't done a lot of people watching.
Yeah.
But
anyways, I feel you. So that's an interesting point. It's an interesting point. This whole life hacking thing can get out of control where you're just trying to optimize, you become obsessed, and it becomes a new attachment. Now you're attached to trying to become unattached. And now you're like, oh, I meditated, but I just couldn't find it in myself to do the journaling. And I couldn't find it in myself to make the cup of tea.
The next thing
I had
you know,
coffee instead of electrolyte water. I was not supposed to have coffee. And now you're just like mad at yourself.
Real. And now you're angry at yourself, and then you failed. Like say you've done your cold shower and you meditated, but you didn't work out or something.
Yes.
Like I would be like not particularly like, I'd be slightly upset with myself, even though I've done a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just, man, simplifying, being like, what is out of all these things, what is the one thing that I can commit to? And, you know, so
I get that. It's like isn't it like the whole one kick thing? Who said that? The one kick, like, was it some famous fighter or something? Was it
Bruce Lee?
Bruce Lee? Was that Bruce Lee?
He's a badass, man. Yeah, he's got those book of like little aphorisms.
Yeah.
You read that book? It's cool.
I haven't, but he was the one with the whole one kick philosophy. He's like saying like, don't buy. I'd rather like I'd be more scared to face somebody who just practice one kick like 1,000.
Oh yeah, and this is why MMA fighters are so much that can like beat up some Aikido master of 50 years. You know, because like if you just master the jab, if you've got an amazing jab, Doesn't matter if the guy can do like the coolest spinning round kick, and has a vast amount of knowledge. It's all about, and this is true in every single field, like in music. If you've got mastery of the pentatonic scale, that's better than a guy who knows every scale but so.
Yes.
It's a simple, deep mastery of a small amount of
I know the
sphere.
pentatonic scale. This is great.
Yeah.
I was always afraid because I couldn't play the Ionian mode.
You don't need a lot. You need that little bit that you have to be very in your pocket, deep in that pocket, like
Deep.
yeah.
It's
deep
hard
pocket.
for, everyone has different tolerances for specificity versus generality, I'd say. And
Okay.
for me, this has been one of my biggest struggles. And I always admired you and our other mutual friend, Danny.
Ogren, yeah. What a guy.
Because, I've said this to him 8,000 times, and I've said it to you a couple times. It's like, I admire you guys because you guys always had the resolve to be like, all right, this is my thing, and I'm pretty much doing this. Like, you had piano, and you had keys, and you had jazz music for a long time now. It's been a long time coming. I mean, you were playing it back at Vassar back in 2011 when we first met. I mean,
Yeah.
Still, you're in the trying to get in all this rehearsal plus vocals and stuff like that too. But your music, and you're also a very holistic guy, as you mentioned with the life hacks. But also you're really smart. You read a lot of books. You're really interesting conversationalist. This, that, the other. But you're still like, okay, 1/3 or half all my junk is like specified to music, right? So
Yeah.
I always admire that. Danny has film. Danny's been all about film from a long time going, and it's like he's got that laser pointer on it. He's got that one kick, and he's going and going and going. And I see that. I see the wisdom. I always seen the Bruce Lee wisdom. I get it. But for me, I don't know what the problem is, but I'm just a little bit of everything. It is what it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to focus. I'm doing my best on whatever creative projects in front of me at the time, and I'm doing this podcast and I'm dedicated to this podcast, but I still got a little bit of music, still got a little bit of film stuff I do. I got a little media company I do this, that. It is hard. It's hard.
Yeah, man. I think it's not necessarily bad. I mean, in your case, me and Danny have always said you were a phenomenally good writer. And that
I consider myself a writer, I guess.
I feel like that is something that kind of is in all those things. It's in lyrics, it's in the podcast because you're using language. So so I feel like for you there is something that ties it together. It's not like you're doing completely random things. You're like skydiving, like
I became a butcher. I became a butcher.
Butcher, yeah. There's something that ties it together, but it's all within some sort of artistic field, and I think.
But this focus though, regardless on one thing, you do kind of feel probably is a major life hack, and that's part of why you brought yourself during COVID. You've seen this opportunity during COVID. Everybody's mostly locked down, half locked down. You went from New Orleans, where you're usually playing the horn and everything, over off what's the main street there, and then you went all the way out to Oregon in this cabin. And at first, I thought you were in a cabin in the wood. I thought you were like chopping down the wood.
I wish I was that deep. I'm still in a society.
You go on the side of the door. There's still cars and stuff, but you literally do turn to your credit. You pretty much keep your phone off and stuff like that. You don't go on the internet as much. You keep certain periods where you're not on.
I mean, I have this laptop that has one Ethernet cable, and that is still enough to as quite a big distraction.
Is your cell phone even on you?
Well, I have a cell phone, but I basically got one of my old iPhones and just left my actual phone in New Orleans. Okay. And so when I'm at there we go. When I'm at a coffee shop, I can still access like iMessage and stuff. But I actually I just bought a phone.
No Androids. No Android. You don't talk no Androids no more.
I've limited. Yeah, I mean, anyone who's on Android is probably not a great person. No, I'm just kidding. Everyone's fantastic.
You sound like the kids these days. The kids these days say the same shit, man. They're all about Apple. Yeah. I tell you, they don't mess around with Android. Not if you're 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. No, they're not doing
I've just downgraded to I got the same phone. I just bought it. Should be arriving tomorrow. The Samsung Rant. It's a red phone. It came out in 2009, and it's so cool. All right, it slides this way, and you've got a keyboard. No, your regular number pads, and then you turn it around and slide it that way, and you've got your keypad. So I'm going to be using that.
Oh, tactile. Tactile.
man. Get that
Oh,
tactile,
bro.
baby. Press the
telling-
button, squish.
I'm
Goodness.
telling you, there was nothing better, bro, than the OG Envy. I had the LG Envy. I had the NV1 and the NV2. The one was better. The clamshell, it popped open, and you could type on that. I would walk down the stairs in high school. Hey, what's up? What's up? Talking to people while texting. No errors. I could do I could do an essay.
Yeah,
no
yeah,
errors.
dude. Oh my God, I love this phone.
Swear.
This phone was just pure joy. There was nothing. There was no animosity towards this guy. So I got it, and I'm downgrading, but only until 2022, and then Sprint is. And I think pretty much all major cell companies are getting rid of 3G, so you can't even use those phones.
Yeah, you're right. I think they're still going to maybe offer a few 4G only handsets, like maybe marketed towards the elderly and stuff. Sometimes you see those sort of handsets in Parade magazine, where it's just, hey, it's still a flip phone. You can use this too, or whatever kind of thing. They might have a couple of them, but you're right. You're not going to be able to use those OG devices, my lovely Envy, unless I know some sort of crazy programmer who's going to somehow change out the chipset, man. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a new company now called Lightphone. Do you know about that?
No, I don't know about that. Lightphone
is like, I tried to get that, but they have it with every single company except for Sprint. And it's just like a stripped down iPhone. It's like backlit like a Kindle, so it looks like a Kindle. It's got that kind of Kindle texture, you know. And it's just like, instead of calling it apps, they have tools. So it's anything that has like an application you can use that's not going to distract you. So like calculators, alarm clocks, GPS, and then you just have texting and calling. And I feel like there's a strong urge. I think people that these apps the algorithms have gotten too potent. The ads are too powerful. Like we're just like it's not fair. Like we're just, you can get sucked in to the point. And even if you've got some willpower and have desire, it's just like it's just too much. So.
I was gonna say, okay, so here's I wanted to look up some more research. I saw something on. Have you ever heard of Patrick Bet-David?
Patrick David, no.
Patrick Bet-David is an interviewer, Valuetainment. You think you'd like him? He's done Peterson, but he's done a lot of interesting interviews. He runs a bunch of companies and stuff like that. He's kind of reminds me of Gary Vee, but like not annoying. But still big ups to Gary Vee. I still like Gary Vee, but like Patrick David has a little bit of swag. But Patrick, anyway, he had somebody on recently who was a psychiatrist. Let's see. His name was Daniel Z. Lieberman. He's a psychiatrist. He wrote a book called The Molecule of More. The Molecule of More. And I have not read the book, show my ignorance, but I did watch the entire 2-hour interview with Patrick Bet-David. And it was very, very interesting, very, very interesting interview. Confirmed a lot of my biases, but the guy is a scientist. He's a psychiatrist who cites a lot of research. And so The Molecule of More, he talks about a general theory of addiction based around dopamine. It's all based around. It seems like I think you're familiar with sort of the concept of the dopamine detox. It's sort of what you're doing, right?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't researched the dopamine detox. I don't know who started it, but I do know that the most intense dopamine detox that I had was when I did that Vipassana meditation, the 10 days. Didn't you do it?
I did a half session, a 4-day, all day, every day, Zen meditation. Yeah. Okay.
Well, basically it's like a free 10-day meditation. It's donation based, and you basically can't talk, and you do 10 hours of meditation a day. Yeah. And you eat very minimally.
Were your knees burning, by the way, on that one?
Oh, dude, I'm so horribly not flexible that like I was just like fully hunched, just like trying, like, oh god, everything was aching. I remember when after it ended, I went to go visit a friend in Austin, and man, just like life had such vibrancy. And music, man, I remember listening to a record I really liked, and just like, I mean, I just got so much more sensory experience from it. And I was like, whoa, like, I got to do this like once or twice a year just so I can like reset my ability to experience, you know? Yeah. And I think you can kind of do that on a mild way by just limiting stimulation, and like, you know, like social media. Like, I don't know about you, man, but there was a point where I couldn't even like sit through full films. like full TV shows.
Happens all the
like,
time, man.
Like I'd have to check my phone in the middle of a film. Like, bro, it's a film. This is like supposed to be pure entertainment, and you're distracting yourself from. And it's like, what is going on? Like the level of the degree at which I needed stimulation was just absurd. Like so, and how can you possibly expect to go from like that level of attention deficit to then sitting down and like writing for 3 hours with a focused brain? Like, no way. Like practice for 2 hours. No, your brain. You're fighting an uphill battle. So like, you know, it's simplifying, taking things out is probably the best. Is taking things out is a better strategy than adding things in. You know, so yeah, man.
Yeah, I totally get that. And this is I raised that concern on my first podcast, and that was going to be part of the fold of this podcast is addressing like, hey, I know this is a cliche problem. I know everybody's talking about it all the time, but listen, these phones, man, it's getting a little out of control, man. We're really addicted to them, and it's not like, and it's not, and like you said too, it's partially, it's a lot of different nuances. The social media, the dopamine theory of addiction that this this gentleman, this psychiatrist was talking about on Vet David was like in the Molecule More. It's like saying that dopamine, sure, if you're addicted to cocaine, if you're addicted to heroin, if you're addicted to the pleasure of sex or masturbation, all these other things, other chemicals involved, all right? Yes. Even still, the bigger theory of addiction here is that dopamine is a molecule specifically connected to the expectation of a reward, the expectation of getting that. So you can think of that like, let's say you're addicted to crack or cocaine. You're like, it's not even that good. If you've ever done it, it's really not that good. It's all right. But basically, the point is, it's kind of just like, oh man, I can't wait to do it. Like, it's like, oh man, I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's going to be the best. And you do it, you're like, all right. But it's like, oh, I can't do it again because it's going to be the best thing. And you're chasing that drag. And every drug addiction's like that. Everybody knows that. Heroin, even weed can become like that. I can speak personally on weed addiction. I was like that eventually with weed. It wasn't even that good. It was just like, I can't wait to finally get to all by myself and smoke weed. Like, just.
Yeah.
But I'm not even just saying just drugs. It's like everything in life. Social media has been shown. You post that picture up, you're expecting so hard to hear that zing or whatever, or to look back on there and see those 3 hearts, those 10 hearts, those 15. You're like, the more L's that pile up, the likes, baby. It's like, yeah. And if you throw something up there and you don't get anything for like an hour or two, you're like, it's like rotting in there, and you're like, oh boy, I know. I need to take this down. Like, I
know. It's real, man. It's real. It's such a
And it's I think it's a really interesting generalized theory of addiction for any addiction. I think even with the cold showers, the warm showers, you're addicted to physical pleasure. You're addicted to feeling warm and happy and good. Like, but life, if you want to get past all the suffering, like the Buddha was talking about, he says to embrace anitya, impermanence. Things are changing. The Heraclitus, like the flow of river, you can never step your foot into the same river twice, the same water twice. It's like embracing that impermanence, and that means letting go of a lot of this stuff. And I think it's a huge problem with the social media, man. I think that phone you're talking about is interesting. I don't know if it's possible to do it because I'm trying to do this podcast. I'm trying to promote myself, and you too are going to maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I failed miserably. I can't post anything. I'm a terrible example.
Yeah, but you can't post anything because you're fearful of what? Or you're saying right now, or what are you saying?
Man, I mean, I've been trying. This has been a slow process to uncover. Yeah, I think it's that element. I mean, it's just that when you're exposed, it's just a sense of vulnerability that you have to overcome. You know,
you don't want to be disappointed.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean,
Or are you saying something different, or?
I mean, I haven't thought about this. I thought about it a little bit. You know how people say oftentimes it's like fear of success. I don't think it's that for me. I think it's like fear of having to be consistent. Do you ever get that fear? Like, what if you killed it? Like, what if you became like sorry, my computer just went black. What if you became like the dankest comedian? Like, you're like, I mean, you are, but you lit up the stages. You got like really pretty well known, right?
Oh, I'm not. No. If I became like Bill Burr, if I became like Dave Chappelle, or if I became
and you got a big following. So you did one really amazing special, and everyone's like, "Oh, Karam's fun, amazing. I got to see him again." Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's like Seinfeld. You're like you're
right.
Okay, prior to the masturbation,
I guess the fear is like is the fear would be, can you do it again? So like the fear, I think and I'm slowly kind of getting over it, but it's like the fear is like, oh, if you nail it, or like, then you've got to do it again. You're expected to do it again, and so that's like fear of maybe having to be consistent.
Do you think that this is the same or different than a fear of commitment? Like with say, for example, with either a career or maybe more in our cases, maybe with like women and girls and stuff like that, like relationships, because I think you and I have some similarity there. Whereas neither of us, there's a lot of people, man. What are we? I'm 28. Are you 28? Are you 27?
27.
But we know a lot of people who they're settling down. They find somebody.
Yeah.
They're pretty happy. And I'm suffering. I mean, I'm not suffering, but I'm looking back now. I just got out of a 4-year relationship, and I've had other long-term relationships, and I'm like, I'm reflecting now and realizing what might have went wrong. And one of the major things that went wrong was just I wasn't really, as much as I loved the last girl, I loved her dearly with all my heart. I was not ready to commit, like, and be like, that's it. Maybe that's similar. Maybe it's different. Maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Then like once finally Seb's like the best solo jazz musician of all time. Now they're calling him. Can you get up at the stage? Get on the stage. Get on the stage. And you're like you're fearful of doing it over and over again, or are you fearful of being enslaved and being committed to something?
No, I think the commitment is not an issue. I think
because you're committed. Just like I was talking about earlier. You and Danny had film. You had music. You committed a long time ago to this path.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I think it's a matter of like if you've had a lot of experiences where you can't find the zone. Like I've had a lot of experiences where like it's just been really like everything feels really mechanical, really robotic. And then times where everything feels amazing and you're like so inspired.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
So it's this feeling of like, well, if I get to a certain level, I'm expected to always be inspired. And I've had to reframe that because that is kind of the fear that underlies, I think, when someone said to me, oh, you're just fearful of success. Because some people say you're fearful of failure, right? That's the big one. But I think people are more fearful of success because underneath success is expectation. And this like, you have to be a certain way to maintain, and this is absurd because I'm looking to like something hasn't even occurred. So
I think you were talking about this. Okay. I think I maybe see the root. Now I think the thing I was talking about commitment issues, cause you're also not married or anything like that, or even close to it. And so I think that might have some element to this, but I think you're saying something different, which is, I think what you're expressing is a perfectionism, which is the bane of the artist's existence that I've suffered with all my life, and every artist or anybody who's in any way doing creative endeavors has suffered with their entire life. And I think what you're saying is a perfectionism, which I understand completely, but I think what maybe it's like stupid for somebody to be like, I got the solution for you. It's stupid, but I'm going to say what I think the solution is, which is just to accept the impermanence of the flow state, just to accept the impermanence of the perfection. Like some days, when John Mayer goes and plays the guitar on stage as a solo actor, now that he's with Dead & Company, one of the best guitar players in the world, like some days he's going to be completely in the zone. Like he's just completely shedding, as you say, or shredding, as I would say, but just completely killing it, completely killing it. And then some days in his mind, he's like, oh, what am I doing? But those nights when he's like, oh, what am I doing? Half the time the audience doesn't, 99% of the time the audience has no idea. Is he basically in key? Yes. Is he basically hitting the notes? Yes.
Right.
Is he a micro eighth note off? Maybe. But half the audience is like, oh, babe, that's going to be with you too.
No. It's true, man. And it does come down to just like, and it's cliche as well, but just like trying to be living in the moment, which, the more you do that, the more everything else is kind of doesn't matter really. I mean, if you're fully present, there's no space to be ruminating or to be looking ahead, or even to be judging the experience as it occurs, which is oftentimes the case if you're performing. Like if you're doing if you're doing a stand-up, like there's probably times where you're just flowing, and there's times where like you're saying a joke and simultaneously are aware of yourself saying the joke and critiquing yourself saying, you know what I mean? You've been in that state before?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the more you just kind of practice, like, and it does come down to like the way you practice is the way you're going to do it in real life. Like there's no moment. There's no like moment where it all like big moment where you get the call and then that's it, and then you step up to the plate, you nail it like in some romanticized movie. No, you just like
That's
you
one of the
practice.
worst things about. That's one of the worst things about social media. One of the most insidious things about social media is it does make us reframe and feel like our life is like a movie, and so you're always waiting for like those epic moments to take place, where
Yeah.
it's like the bases are loaded, and like we're like down to the wire, and you got to hit this thing out of the park.
Right.
Otherwise, and it's like,
Yeah.
and you just wait for the crowd to go wild, and all the girls show up, and everybody's got you up on their shoulders and everything. This moment happens in real life like once in a blue moon.
Once, very rarely, and it only happens well if you're practicing as if you know.
It's never gonna happen. As if you're always gonna be struggling.
Yeah, but you've got to practice. You got to practice like say you're working on whatever it is. You've got to like engage it in the same way you would engage that big moment. Like you got to engage with that same level of presence. Because practicing presence is a real thing. Like sitting down and just like taking a few breaths before you practice or before you work on whatever you're going to work, and be like, okay, I'm going to be really focused, even if it's for a little bit of time. Because then when it actually comes down to it, you're like, oh, I'm used to getting into the state, so I can just freaking nail it, you know.
Yeah, a couple years ago when I visited you, it wasn't even a couple years ago. I can't even. Time flies these days. Like if you're living in the moment, it's just like a couple years ago. It was literally in September.
When did you come down?
I think it was September.
Did we go to the Felipe's and get a burrito? Or was that time before that? Did we do anything?
That was the time before that. This time we only got coffee, and we worked out. And like you were like,
We worked out
in the morning. Well, in the morning happened. Ready? We're like, so I visit you at your like little pad out there in New Orleans, which is great. And we hung out. We went to maybe we went to Philippe's again that night. I'm not sure, but I know that we woke up in the morning. I didn't have a lot of time because I had to get to Florida to pick up my friend Skyler.
Yeah.
So we were gonna go to the beach out there in Destin, White Sands, amazing. Oh, you've been to Destin, right? Oh,
Yeah.
best place
Actually,
ever.
I actually haven't, but I went to Pensacola, which is similar.
Similar.
Yeah.
It's almost as good. Okay, my point being that I remember you were life hacking in the morning because in the morning I was like, all right, dog, you want to do a little workout and a little meditation or whatever? You're like, yeah. So I'm like, you said to me I can lead the workout, and then you were gonna lead the meditation. I said, okay. So I think start with the meditation. Like, all right, it's time to set the timer for 35 minutes or what? Is this something? It was like 40 minutes. I was like, bro, I gotta leave in 45 minutes, man. And then we're gonna work out, and then we're gonna eat the big smooth, and then we're gonna go get some coffee and everything was going on.
Classic. Yeah.
Classic life hack. But just like you and I, remember back in the day at Vassar when I got my yoga certification in India and I came back and then we just did yoga every morning for for a long time.
Yeah. That was badass.
That was fun.
With Tilen.
Tilen
right?
eventually joined in. Yeah. She joined in. Yeah.
That was nice. The beginning of the school year was always nice.
Oh man, I love that. I love that sense of infinite possibility at the beginning.
I know. Oh, it just goes away.
It
just goes away. I think this is the toughest time for most human beings, is late 20s, man. Just because it's like, you know, as Danny always references the Peter Pan, you know, the infinite possibilities of the youth, and then the whittle down into very limited options as you get older, and then in your late 20s you're kind of like, oh well, I guess I decided this, or I haven't decided something, and there's a sense of like world closing in on you and it's all overwhelming and stuff. But as opposed to,
it seems a little existential. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's possible. It's easy to go there when you're in a dark place.
He's right. No, I mean, it's like we feel when you're young, you feel like you have infinite time and infinite options. And it's only in the recent couple of years that it started to strike me like, okay, because I felt young for so long. I felt young through high school, through middle school. I mean, I was conscious and young, middle school, elementary school, middle school, high school, college felt pretty young. At the end of college, still felt kind of young. Went up here in Syracuse. The first time I ever felt old was when I worked at the middle school in the hood.
Oh
Syracuse.
yeah, I remember that.
And the kids were like, Mr. Anthony, how old are you? How old are you? You old as a motherfucker. I was like, what? I was like 25 or 24. I was like, what? Like you got some kids? Yeah, how many kids you got? I'm like, what? I ain't got no kids. Like, you better hurry up. Where are your kids at? And they were barely joking. I mean, they were joking, but they were, they were busting my balls.
Kids are if you ever want to, I feel like most times you get hit with that punch from a kid, man, because a kid is so unfiltered, and they'll just and it's true, and you're like, oh, they hit you with that, and you're like, man, and you can't say anything because they're like 10, but but they
They
just
knew
hit you
too
with
much.
something.
They knew way
Yeah,
too
they
I'll
sense
tell you
too
what.
much. They're not tiptoeing around, but sometimes that's a good kick in the ass.
But yeah, no, because it's like 30's around the corner, man. When you turn 30, you ever remember when you're young? Do you ever think you're gonna ever be 30? Well, I mean, I didn't think like, oh, I'm not gonna live that. I mean, I knew I would get there, but I never thought about it. I never was like, I can't wait till I'm 30. I mean, I was always just like, I can't wait till I'm 16, I get my car. And then it was like, can't wait till I'm like 18, 21 or whatever and go to college, like drink and be an idiot. And then it was like, I can't wait to finally finish college and go make my own money. And then it was kind of like, now what happens?
Now I have nothing to wait for. Now it's yeah. Now it's reminisce. Now I can't wait to just go home and reminisce.
Dude, you have no idea how many dreams of mine take place in either high school or in college. I'm like,
Really?
Oh, yeah. I miss it so much. I think it's been worse intensified in COVID because COVID has intensified the social isolation.
Yeah, that's real as well, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, man. So I don't know. So how long have you been out in Oregon, and what, given, I guess, disciplines or life hacks or whatever on a given day for your own personal needs and wants and goals are you practicing?
Sure. Yeah. So I've been out here for 6 weeks now, right? A little bit longer, 7 weeks maybe. Yeah, 7 weeks. 7 weeks. And for me, it was like just time to dig in to finding that kind of playful element in writing. You know, I got really into Taoism at the beginning of this trip, kind of randomly stumbled across the Tao Te Ching, you know, that book.
Yeah, I had the app for a while. It's a lot of good wisdom in there.
Yeah. But a big part of it is like, you know, act without doing, you know, this very effortless way of doing things, which for me resonated quite a lot. So it was all about, okay, because before, if I force myself to write, it just doesn't really work. But if I go in with like, oh, I'm going to play with a looper and just mess around for a couple hours, you know, and then the next day maybe I'll get into editing, and that requires a little bit more of kind of like sit down focus, but just to really kind of cultivate that sense of play. So I mean, the mornings are pretty much quite similar. If I'm feeling terrible, if I got bad night's sleep, I'm usually less hard on myself, and I don't take a freezing cold shower. I'm just like kind. I just have like a warm shower, and I drink a nice cup of tea, and I just slow into it. You know, I'm like be a little bit nicer to myself. And then if I wake up with a good night's sleep, I just jump in the cold shower and do a little breathing exercise, and then just get down to. I always do this is a big thing, man. Just like what is the thing that you're probably most fearful of doing for the day, and that's usually the most important thing to do, right? So like in my case, it was arranging or writing, right? So it's like, okay, let me do that first before I start practicing, before I start exercising, before I do anything else, because that's like the thing that, you know, that makes me most usually has historically made me the most uncomfortable. So best tackle it when I'm full of life.
So wait, but what about the balance that you said, like, if some days you're tired or this, that, the other, you won't push it, you'll just get the looper out, or how does that work? How does the system where you're how do you choose to go into, you always go into the most difficult thing, or do you sometimes, are you
yeah, well, I mean, it's not,
just flow with it, you're not really sure?
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't put a goal, I try not to put a goal on it, like, you know, like I'm not trying to like finish something, or it doesn't have to be completed, but I have to be with it for a period of time. You know what I mean? Like if I'm with the song for a period of time and it's trying to stay non-judgmental, which is a big part. It was hard for me.
Yeah.
You know, like can I leave 3 hours? Can I sit down, write for 2-3 hours, and I'm allowed to just sit and do nothing? That's acceptable.
Exactly. Did you get that from Stephen King in the On Writing thing?
No. I just
in On Writing. Yeah, that's a great. In On Writing, Stephen King prescribes, like, if you want to be a writer, okay, you're going to give yourself this hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours to do the writing. And it's okay if you just sit there and stare at the wall, but you need to be in front of that typewriter or whatever, or in front of that computer. And you need to be with the writing.
And the big part is, if I'm with, like, you need no internet, and you need not having your phone, like doing nothing. And then like, I feel like if you just check Instagram or Facebook or go to email just for like a little bit, whatever like nothingness you were doing, just sitting there staring at a wall, you have to reset again. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're back at zero. I feel like because that staring at a wall is actually there's some workings going on in that process. You know, like so you can't just you can do nothing, but you just can't do distracting things.
Yeah.
So that's what I do, man. It's like it's really trying to cultivate play, and then at the end of it, be like, even if it was terrible, even if I want to like have a terrible day after that, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna have a terrible day. I'm just gonna like leave it, move on, and that's a work in progress, man. Sometimes I have terrible days, but the intent, that's the intention, is like just try to be as non-judgmental as possible, and be nice to yourself, man. Like be kind to Karam, you know.
Yeah.
Just a little
Good
nice
job,
one,
buddy.
bro. Yeah, just like someone said, it's like, you know, be like
Was this Seinfeld on Harris?
I don't know. I can't
Not
remember who
Harris.
said it.
Ferris. I thought it was either him or it was who was saying like be like when you're writing, you gotta be like a nice
like a supportive friend, you know, like a friend who wants the best for you, you know, like you to me, like me to you. I'm not gonna be like, Karam, you piece of shit, like work hard.
Yeah. Be nurturing.
Be nurturing. Be like, dude, you did this really well. Could little work here, but just take a break. You got it, man. Just take a couple breaths and get back to it. Like you need that kind of person.
I think it was Seinfeld. He was saying that, and he was saying like, give yourself a reward. Do you have a reward, or you just once you're done with your task, you don't need that?
I mean, I usually eat after I've done my writing.
Yeah.
So I eat at like noon, and I'm pretty pumped for breakfast. So that's kind of a reward.
Are you doing the 8-hour thing? Are you doing the 8-hour eating thing?
Yeah, I'm on this kind of strict diet because I developed this psoriasis in my when I was 24, which is like a skin autoimmune condition where the skin cells just create extra skin and it kind of like plaques, and it's kind of a little bit itchy. It's not that bad, but it can develop into psoriatic arthritis, something like that, which is not great. Like your bones like become brittle and shit. I'm like, oh, terrible. So there's like the diet for it, which is like tackling the gut, because the gut is like the source of a lot of inflammation. And so basically I'm on this diet where I just eat meat, fish, and vegetables, and a little bit of fruit. That's it. No grains, very little carb. I mean, I get some carb from
grain.
Yeah, it's like some complex carbs, maybe like a sweet potato or something, but I'm not eating. Yeah, dude, and this like it's slowly getting better. You have to look. They said wait 3 months before you really judge it, so it's kind of hard to look that far ahead. But man, if you take away carbohydrates out of your diet, you just never get tired. You just never get tired. Like you just don't. I never get tired at 3 p.m. You know, the second I add a little bit of rice or whatever it is, just like get that slump. So
I guess Atkins was onto something.
It's real, man.
I'm mostly on that too. I guess I maybe could be more strict, but like you said, you got to pick your battles with whatever discipline.
Yeah, pick your battles, man. Yeah.
I try. What you said about the gut is definitely got to be some truth to it. I think. I mean, this is we're not scientists, but like in Chinese medicine, the gut is the foundation of all of health. And they also recently, just as another anecdote, we know that serotonin has a lot to do with happiness and has a lot to do with depression, not depression. And they discovered, I believe, you could fact check me somebody, but I believe there's more serotonin receptors, happiness kind of receptors in the stomach, or rather in the intestines, than are in the brain.
Yeah. I mean, and I know just from experience that antibiotics, man. I took antibiotics because I had this throat infection once, like 8 months ago. Yeah. Took the antibiotics, immediately erupted with these skin lesions, and it was it's crazy because this is a surface level thing. You're like, how does the gut relate to my skin? Wow. But it's because when the gut becomes permeable,
leaky gut.
Yeah, certain bacterial overgrowths, E. coli, that kind of stuff. Candida, yeast, can get into the bloodstream and cause widespread inflammation. And it's like, damn, well, if I just... And the antibiotics, for some reason, they wipe out all bacteria, but for some reason they create an environment that's particularly habitable to bad bacteria. Yeah.
It's important to take those probiotics when you can, if you have to take antibiotics. It's amazing in the last few years how much it seems like science is starting to show like how important the biome in the gut is. like how much we rely like in a symbiotic relationship with these like with these bacteria.
This whole life, there's a whole freaking forest down there, man. It's like a fucking Amazon rainforest. It's fucking it's huge.
Yeah,
it's so complex. It's so we have no unfathomably complex. You know.
Yeah, we have no clue. You know, that's whenever you think about the future, I know living in the moment is important on a spiritual level or on a level of flow and a level of getting things done and a level of but I like to zoom out and look at the future. It's just fun and speculative.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
And it's just funny to think like, you know, it was not that long ago, 200 years ago, that the guy who came up with the germ theory or whatever and the hand washing theory was like laughed out of, like the doctor. He was like laughed out of the medical conference. Everybody was like, oh, he's a goon. And now it's like we're here and it's like whatever we might know, like we're like, yeah, it's definitely this, it's definitely that. With whether it's I don't know, I don't even want to bring anything up political or whatever, but it's just like anything. We're like, oh yeah, it's definitely the gut, it's definitely the leaky gut, it's definitely the vaccine, it's this, that, and the other. And then in like 200 years they're gonna be like,
right,
and these guys, this is almost as bad as the leeches, man. What were they doing?
Yeah.
It's like,
man, it's so true. That's why I think like it really is like just if you take a lot of things out, food, whatever it is, and then slowly add things back, that's really quite a profound way to explore. Like you know, like have you seen that all meat diet people are doing?
I know the Petersons are big into it.
Yeah, I mean that. Not that I don't recommend that diet, but I think if you were to start with very like if you were able to get your immune system under control with the most basic diet you can possibly think of, or whatever, and then you add one thing in, you're like, oh, you really get a sense of, oh, like eggs make me feel like this, or like you know, try eggs for a week, and you're like, man, eggs did this, you know, and then take it out and then put in
very scientific, very
scientific,
empirical,
but it's purely based on you because a lot of it now is coming down to like you have an individual set of genes that were adapted to a certain diet. Like me being half Indian maybe means that I actually can eat rice better than, you know, some dude born in Northern Europe or whatever it is who can maybe more adjusted to eating, you know, red meat.
I've always said that the white privilege, man, is as these Caucasian motherfuckers swigging down milk and ice cream, man. I've always been pissed because I'm part African, man, and it just fucks me up to have a little milk. That's the real white privilege. I want to eat ice cream too.
Dude, yeah, ice cream messes me up. Beer. I mean,
my ex-girlfriend, she was white as snow, and she was just okay. She wasn't gobbling ice cream, but she could if she wanted to.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. It's like people with beer, like the yeast just messes me up, man. I have one beer, it's like.
I'm not too bad with beer, but there's you know, everybody's got their own thing.
Yeah, but just knowing that, being like, yeah, there's no. This is my big thing. There's no general thing you can prescribe. You just got to.
There are. I swear there are people who just have very like. I think maybe it is Northern Europeans. I mean, this is not to get into some weird fake science race thing, but like my ex, like she seemed to, I mean, a lot of the girls I've dated who have been like white seem to just be able to tolerate lots of food, and us brown people, we're struggling. We're like, oh, I don't know, we need to add that in, take it out, just stay back. But it's at the end of the day, man. At the end of the day, regardless of your tolerance of it, and if you have this fake white privilege I'm talking about, regardless of that, it's like it's for all people. It's probably best to eat more whole foods and more natural foods and probably meat, veggies. If you're not doing meat, maybe fish. If you're not doing fish, well then like beans and legumes. Although the beans and legumes and the nightshades mess some people up. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I've eliminated nightshades as well, man. Because what I found out is those lectins and the glycoloids that are in potatoes and all this stuff, like
lectins.
They're like, I think the whole theory is that, you know, like certain plants.
Wheat has a lot of lectins, right? That's the whole gluten thing. And the gluten
soy, peanuts.
I won't eat no soy. I ain't
don't eat no soy. Ain't no good that. So
unless it's fermented. Apparently it's good if it's fermented.
Breaks it down.
I think so.
Yeah, that's true with that's why like white rice is better than brown rice.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because brown rice has the shell has not been shucked, so it's like
right.
That the lectin.
It's not fermented.
It's not fermented, but your stomach can't break down the shell of the brown rice, so it ends up in your gut. Then the lectin makes your gut permeable, and bam, the next thing you know, you're absorbing all that bacteria. So
right, stupid.
Yeah, goddamn leg.
Silly lectins.
Young L.
Okay, so we got you on. Okay, you're out, sort of in nature, sort of. You're away from a lot of distraction. So in the morning, you get up, you attempt to maintain a flow state. You get to your writing or your practicing place, and you attempt to do those tasks. Sometimes you're nice to yourself and just like let it flow, and sometimes you're maybe trying to write something or play something. And this is like morning, and then you go to food, and the food, you got a whole discipline with that 8-hour window. and on top of that, you're eating only certain foods, but it's helping you. It's hacking your way into a better health. Is it help? You're thinking that maybe it will eventually show you to help your psoriasis. Is there any other life hacks that I'm missing here? You go to the cafe. That's the only time that you use this technology, right?
Well, yeah. Occasionally, I'll use the Ethernet cable, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man. That's basically my life hacks. I mean, what else?
Well, I don't need to juice use rye. I just get
a big thing I do, which
bar.
is helpful, is I just take 3 breaths now and then. Instead of meditating, because we can do 3 right now, man. I just do.
Just do 3 right now. All right, for the listeners at home, go ahead and close your eyes and do three calming breaths. Ready?
Yeah, man. It's real. Like I think it's better than doing. I don't know about you, but you're a long time meditator as well. And I was kind of compartmentalizing it. You know what I'm saying? Do you ever have that issue? It's like
I do that. I do it in this corner. I have my one spot over here. At this particular
I meditate
time.
20 minutes in the morning, put my timer on, and then I'm just back to who I am. Like, you know, as opposed to like
kind of bring it with you.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like, okay, I'm not going to meditate, but I'm going to make a strong effort to any time I feel like my mind's a little bit hectic, just taking those 3 breaths. And that way you're kind of like, you're doing a week of meditation throughout the whole day. But I think that's a lot better than doing like 20 minutes. And I mean, honestly, probably the best is to do maybe a meditation in the morning and at night, but and having the day. But like, I think it's better just to kind of have a practice like that where it doesn't feel like it's not very difficult, and it kind of gives you something to engage with all the time.
Yeah, just coming back to the breath, man. It's true, and this is the metaphor of spirit, the metaphor of the source. It's like the thing that, and that's the weirdest thing about meditation too. I mean, yeah, you're right. You can do it in many doses like this, but it's like that's the thing I've always liked about meditation. I do other disciplines, do other things as well, but it's like you are actually putting yourself in a position where there's no distractions, there's no dopamine buzzers and whizzers, there's no external stimuli. Right. And so can you be present with nothing? And generally speaking, you yoke yourself to the breath. You pay attention to the breath just to make sure that your mind's not going completely nuts. But you're and it's great. I mean, it sounds so terrible at first, but then you do it, you're like, oh, all right, you just feel so much. The point is to try to disconnect yourself from all the flurry of thoughts that fly before you, and to become more in the moment, and let it flow, man. Let it flow.
Yeah. What have you been doing? How do your days look?
So I've been struggling with some of the questions you're posing, which are like, where is the limit of like trying to get up and do like the big morning routine, like the big the 1, 2, 3, you gotta have the quick 15-minute aerobic, and then you're gonna have the meditation, and then you're gonna do the mental imagery, and then you're gonna get in the cold shower, and then you're gonna have your, not the coffee yet, but you can have the tea or the water just to write down your journal. And you guys on YouTube talking about that, and it's like, yeah, that attracts me. But and then you got other people like I hate to bring him up, but we already brought him up. So our homie Danny out in LA, he just does I think this is a lot of people to talk about this, like the War of Art. I feel like it mentions this kind of idea. Just get to the desk. Get to the desk. If you're a writer or you're a creative, just get to the desk. And Danny says he just gets to the desk. He just gets to the desk and just starts to pound it out. And I think that's really cool too, because it's like right in the morning you have so much focus. So I'm sort of trying to figure out where I need to be, I guess, in terms of all this. Because like, yeah, like you said, I know I was saying I'm a general creative, but I'm a writer. Everything comes from writing. Like even this episode, I made an outline. It's not like we got like some like, I'm not reading off a teleprompter, but I have a slight outline, you know, and some things are more improvised, and then other things we got skits. There's always going to be things, and or a new album I got coming out, all this other stuff. Yes, whatever. Things are different levels of writing, but everything comes from writing for me. Right. So I always need to get to doing some sort of writing in the morning, but I've been struggling, man, to just figure out that morning routine, I guess. And I need to pull myself together, because I will sometimes get up and I check it out and I'm like, oh, okay. what's going on Instagram? I'm like, yeah, and I know that
Yeah.
monkey mind stuff is bad. I know it, but I'm like,
So addictive.
And I'm
And
like-
here's the thing, Cam. I didn't mention this, but the biggest thing for me is like, what if you wake up really sad one morning, like, or you wake up just feeling like apathetic, lackluster, whatever it is. Like your willpower is not gonna whip you into that cold shower. Like, like the tendency. Well, for my case, maybe there's people that just so on it, but the tendency will be just to go to what is satisfying or what is stimulating quickly, so it's like phone, it's like whatever, it's watching porn, it's whatever, just like gives you something. I feel like that's it. If you're like really down, it's
right
like
in the morning, baby, let's get on that hub. Let's go, baby. We'll beat one up before the crows come up. That's what I
whatever
always
it is. Yeah. So
could you imagine somebody with that regressive?
what if there's like a reverse
porn in?
Or like a reverse morning routine, like just like filled with everything that was just terrible for you. It's like, okay, wake up.
Oh my
we'll
God.
watch the most absurd porn. Get onto Instagram. Just flick through the most, just like that the news part where it's just celebrities and just absurd posts of the.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you get your dessert before anything else.
Yeah, just junk highlights and asses and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, make sure dessert. I mean, like, yeah, you have that, but then make sure you go have your pie.
Oh yeah, just have the most sugar-filled morning.
Just try to stuff your belly full, just to make sure. And no fiber.
Were you the one who sent me that on a completely different note? That we read an article I just got when we were in college about that guy who took, it was like a Vice article, and he took all of these reverse stimulants, like instead, like the opposite of heroin, the opposite of cocaine. Like what I swear to God, you sent me this article.
I remember that Vice article that everybody used to always circulate, which was like the one where the one dude took every single drug and like drew a portrait of himself for like 30 days or something.
There's that one, but this guy just took all like the big downer drugs, like drugs given to like people that like who have just like strong like sexual urges that they need to reel in. So they give them this drug that just like dulls everything. Anyway, he took these series of drugs just like revert. And anyways, but it's just that I just got me into that thought after us talking about the reverse routine. But man, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, I was just gonna mention this episode of Seinfeld. I watched all of Seinfeld during COVID. I had not seen it, and it's a comedy classic. Have you seen any Seinfeld?
I have, but I'm not. I haven't been a devout.
I get it. Yeah, you don't need to be a devout TV watcher. I don't want to recommend that, but there's just some gems of entertainment in that series, and there's one, I believe that it was an episode called Opposite Day. So like George realizes that like everything in his life is just terrible. He's a loser, and like he's just nothing works out. So he just decides just to do the opposite of everything he would ever do. So like he just has the most success ever. Like he goes right up to like in the diner they always go to. He goes right up to the diner to get something, and there's a chick sitting there, and he's like, he would never talk to her, so he goes to talk to her because he's usually too afraid to. He's like, hey, how you doing? My name's George. What's your name? And she says her name. She's like, what do you do? He's like, well, I'm unemployed and I live at home with my parents. And she's just like immediately like they're immediately together, and then somehow later on he goes to the Yankees for a job interview or whatever, and he's like, well, and they're like, so can you tell us a little bit about or whatever? And he's like, yeah, you guys are doing a terrible job. Let me tell you what, I cannot believe you traded this guy, that, the other guy. Like, I cannot believe what's going on. Where's the guy? Who's the like guy in charge? I want to talk to him right now. This, and the other. Like, we need to hire this guy right away. Like, all this other stuff. It was great. It's a tremendous episode.
It kind of reminds me of Office Space. Seen that film?
Yes, of course.
When he just like, yeah, he doesn't give a fuck, and he's just like,
oh right, and then everything
and he's
goes
just brutally honest about everything because he doesn't care anymore. So everything goes exceptionally well. Everyone's like, oh, this guy's is a leader.
Yeah, can you just have those TPS reports on my desk? Remember the dream?
Yeah.
He turns around. Oh my god.
Oh god.
Oh my god. All right, so I didn't have a clear answer for my morning routine. I try to get to the desk as soon as I can, and some days, but I'll tell you just broader speaking what life hacks I'm doing and what I'm struggling with and what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to I've been trying to cold shower, all right, but I've been having trouble putting it into my routine because it's very extreme. It's very difficult. I think it's really awesome. And Mike Hines and I are supposed to go jump in a cold stream the next couple weeks before March through. And I'm like, oh man, it's just really hard for me. I was always the most sensitive person to cold there ever was. Like, I don't know why, but all my life, like, I'm the last person to get into a pool. I'm the last person to get into a body of water. I'll literally dip my toe and be like, oh no, even if it's like 79 degrees, I'll be like, oh no. I don't know. I just could not get over the transition period. It just freaks me out. Yeah, I'll do it eventually. but I've been the biggest wuss about that. But okay. But I want to do that eventually. But you got to pick your battles, like you said. And so I am the main life hack. I do meditate every day. I do the Tonglen meditation, or I do Zazen. Zazen would be like the Zen, just focus on your breath, right? But have you heard Tonglen, Tibetan Buddhism? It's a really cool one. I think you might benefit from it. I've talked about it on my podcast before. It's an interesting meditation where, for some reason, Tibetan Buddhism is a lot more imagistic. There's more imagery, more paintings and stuff in general than the aesthetic of Zen. But at any rate, so in this one, you actually imagine basically everything bad in your life. I don't know. You see, feel, and hear like everything bad, like negative coming into your life, like criticism or boredom or sadness or anything. You literally inhale that negativity. You focus on inhaling it, and then you exhale all, like from your base of your spine, just all the positivity you can give out, all the warmth, all the golden love to the world of all time. You just take all the sorrow in, all the sadness of the world, all the unhappy people, and then you give out pure positivity. And I think it's a really cool, maybe it'll help you with your perfectionism. I don't know. Who knows? Yeah. But I like it. It seems to help me with just getting stuff done, getting these podcasts out, regardless of if they're the best podcast in history or the worst. It's just like, you know what, man, you tried.
Cool. So you do that meditation, or you just do a simple breath one, and then you attempt a cold shower, and then you get down to, and then you work out.
I'm not even talking about the morning routine right now. The morning routine is a little diffuse right now. I should probably work on that, because I think it'd be very helpful for me to have a very strong one. And I've been doing the electrolyte water in the morning. I've been doing less coffee, still doing coffee. Trying to get to my desk as soon as I can. So,
what's electrolyte water? Just water with electrolytes in it?
Yeah, I read this article about Tom Brady, and obviously we all know Tom Brady is like the most winning supporter. Al whip, snipped, and peeled into shape physically, like ever. Like that's how he's post 40 years old still throwing a billion yards, winning Super Bowls. And he doesn't drink coffee. I had read this article about his morning routine, and you'd be interested to see Tom Brady's morning routine. Just type in Tom Brady's morning routine or daily routine. Very, very disciplined. But he doesn't drink coffee. He just drinks like electrolyte water, which is like supposed to give you a lot of energy. And I looked into it, and it's like, you could think of that as just like smart water. They sell smart water, or you can make it with a little bit of sodium and potassium and other stuff. You can look it up, or you can just type in how to make your own electrolyte water. Or basically coconut water is basically electrolyte water. It might be nice to add a little salt and a little bit of lemon to it, just to add a few more. But coconut water. Have you ever had the experience drinking coconut water and feeling like you were pretty well energized?
Yeah, like I used when I was playing soccer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like the same thing as coffee, where you're like, like it's not a stimulant, but water is big, man. If you're feeling a little bit tired, water usually picks you up. No, but the coconut water, I'm telling you, it seriously sustains it, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, okay.
But then the biggest life hack, if it is considered a life hack, is just doing heavy weights, man, 4 days a week, plus trying to just throw in cardio and the rest of it. Just trying to whip, snip, and peel my physical shape into like just trying to callous my mind through physical activity.
Cool.
And I'm just going up every week with the bench, man, and all the rest of it. I'm doing heavy bodybuilding workouts.
I remember back in college, I was so annoyed with you because like me and my friend Finn at the time, we were like lifting like 3 or 4 times a week, just finally putting on like 35 pounds, 45 pounds on each side. And you just come in, like train with us for like a few days, just like push it out. I'm like, dude, you don't even work out. You don't even lift. How is this possible? And then within like a month, like you've doubled your muscle, like your physical muscle mass. Yeah.
Yeah. My taller friends are always annoyed with me for this because I'm not that short. I'm like 5'10"-ish, but like for some reason, like I grew slowly. So I don't know. Like I just have more of
you're very dense.
Pretty dense. Pretty thick. I'm pretty thick frame. So like as opposed to like a tall,
pretty
lanky,
thick.
like you're pretty lanky. Like I feel like you're really fast and you're really swift. But also I feel like I'm like
swift and thick.
I'm thick. And so it's just like I'm pretty naturally strong. Yeah. But working out is a lot of fun. It's just exciting. It's like every week doing more. Like and I sometimes I have a partner, but my buddy Skylar's all over the place, and my cousin, it's just hard to link with him because he works so much and he just lives far away now all the way. So it's just like I'm just having to do the benching and stuff by myself, and I'm like trying to find a balance. Like I maxed out 225 with Skylar a couple weeks ago, but now I'm just doing like by myself. I'm doing like 195, like repping 195. Next week I'll try to go to 200 or something like that. Just trying to, because you can't do as much when on your own. But if I'm repping it, who cares? And so it's a nice time. I'm trying to get. I love it.
Being in shape is a nice feeling. When we were working out way back when.
You're in shape, dude. Look at you.
No. But when I was like dunking, And I was like,
Oh yeah, you actually were dunking. Yeah.
yeah, and like my legs. I remember when my legs were really strong. I just felt amazing. I just felt like so grounded and like
Yeah.
just felt like a, just a fast little dude. Anyways, but yeah, man, I would suggest like with my solution for you, not that you need a solution,
Yeah.
but with your struggles trying to figure out the morning routine, it's like keep it as vague. I mean, keep it vague in a weird way, like
How
within
is that? You're saying what you do, where it's like I'm gonna sit myself down.
like you say, okay, my morning routine is like I know what's not good. That's easy.
Yeah.
You're like that going to the gram, checking the media, seeing what's on the news is not the place to be because that brings you in a very like input. I want to be more output. So you get rid of that. So that's pretty vague. That's just like get rid of things. It's not really a thing. That's just a do not.
Yeah.
And then I would say just be like, okay, I'm gonna have a lot of time, and I can explore these things for that. Like I'll explore some sort of meditation, whatever floats my boat, and I'll do some sort of.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I was
you're saying
keep it
that
vague.
you're saying that you don't think diving right into the creative work is the best way. In your opinion.
I think that could be the best way.
Okay.
That could be the best way. I'm just saying I need a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I just need a little bit of time. Like just to kind of like get in my body, like, like the cold shower gets in the body, just to get a little bit like, that's what it comes down to, like, know who you are. You're a physical dude,
Yeah.
you're a physical person. Like, so it's like, but yeah, I would keep it vague, man. Just be like, don't do certain things and just, you don't have to do a cold shower, but like,
what if it's like we do like a Tao Te Ching thing where it's like I got like a thing of index cards and we got like the first half hour of the day or first 45 minutes. You're gonna do some warm up stuff. You're gonna do some stuff, and it's like there's like, yeah, I just picked 2 cards or whatever out of like the 10 options or something.
I think
like
that's cool, man. I think anything
cool.
to keep it exciting. I think for me, like every routine that I've ever had has always eventually become dull and just feeling just like, oh, another wake up, another meditation and a cold.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this Tao Te Ching thing. Hang on.
Yeah, Tao Te Ching's like, it's like whatever the moment needs, you give it you give it that moment.
Yeah.
And that comes from knowing yourself. Like you take away a few things, then you're left with like, I like that idea, man. Like just having some make randomness is such a fucking cool tool for creativity. If I'm, like I had a lesson with this amazing singer a few weeks ago, and I was telling him how I wasn't feeling very inspired, and he was like, here's a cool exercise, and he was like, here's a way of creating a randomized drum pattern, and he was like, just write any number from 2 to 5, and then that ended up becoming the kick drum pattern. But the point is like randomness, like have some cards, be like, hey, this morning you're going to do this. Like, oh, it's kind of exciting. There's play. It's like a child. You want that like, oof, I don't know what's going to happen this morning.
And it's antithetical to the perfectionism because now it's not only is it random, but also now you've got something constraining you a little bit.
Yeah. And you want to be that homie. Like
Yeah.
who do you admire? I admire like those Dalis, those like kind of weirdly playful, eccentric characters that like, they'll do some weird thing in the morning. Like, I don't really want to be David Goggins. I mean, I admire qualities in him. I admire Jocko Wilk, whatever his name. I admire that guy as well.
He just posts the image of his clock or his time.
Yeah, just like, let's get it every morning.
Like,
cool.
Or 3 o'clock in the morning.
But I also like the guy who's like, oh, I'm gonna freaking do this weird thing and do a handstand. That's my morning routine today. Or like, I'm gonna, just spin around in a circle. I'm gonna do a weird.
You and I just come up with. I don't think anyone's ever come up with the concept of the Tao Te Ching morning routine.
This came up with me and you. I'd never thought about this in such a randomized way.
Yeah, exactly. I never thought about it either till now. So it was together we birthed this idea. This is fun.
But it'll be fun. I mean, and at the end of the day, that's excitement. Like you wake up and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen for my morning hour, my special morning hour of weirdness, or whatever it is. And if you feel like, if you wake up and you're like, you know what, today I need the cold shower. Today I need the meditation. Then fucking do that. Like,
fair enough. Yeah.
Like,
fair enough.
So.
Yeah, man. It's just this whole trying to go for away from the easiest thing, which is just to go towards pleasure all the time. And it's so easy just to go towards warmth and comfort and pleasure all the time.
Takes away from everything. Takes away from your ability to enjoy things. Again, but this is the whole idea of the dopamine detox. Just rehashing the same ideas. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, pick your battles, man. Pick your battles. And I think that's the interesting thing. We talked about the Tao Te Ching of morning routines, but it's also just like there is a subjective quality to this. as much as there's some science to it, and to whatever life hacks you're looking into, whatever meditations, whatever disciplines, Wim Hof, cold showers, all the other stuff, there's eating healthy, there's some science to it, but really it comes from your own subjective world. What do you need? Do you need to do every single Jocko Willink thing? Do you need to do every single David Goggins whip, step, and peel? Do you need to do 100 miles every day? Probably not, because it depends on your goals, it depends on your life patterns, it depends on your history. And that's why I'm doing just trying to work all the time. That's why I'm trying to do meditation. That's why I'm doing, because I'm doing heavyweight workouts, because that's me. But
that's
some people need to do other things. Some people like you need to eat a diet that's good for the skin. You need to do your morning, the way that you approach your creative work.
Yeah.
You're picking your battles.
You're picking your battles. And and that's the biggest takeaway from I think our chat. Is like, you got to figure out who you are, figure out what, try things out and play with them. Do the, if you, and then have that honest, try to have that on, it's hard to have that honest chat, but be like, do I like this thing that I'm adding, or is it, do I not like it? Do I actually not like it, or am I afraid of something? Is it something that needs to be worked through? Because those are two different things. You could, but if it's the former, then just switch something else, man. Like, there's so many things to play with. Like a kid would do that. A kid would just like
play with it.
He'd just be like, he'd just experiment. And you have to keep that. You have to keep that kind of state, I think, to have a fun. You want it to be fun. Like, you live for a certain period of time and then you die, and it's like, make it nice, make it fun.
Thanks for reminding us.
Well, yeah, pick a route. Like Jordan Peterson said, that thing is like, make a routine that excites you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like,
slumping into it, it's not gonna be.
Yeah.
And I think that for me too, it's like, we keep hitting the same thing over and over again. Like, pick a routine that excites you, pick a routine that works for you. That's part of why I've had trouble with the cold shower thing, partially because it's one of the hardest things for me, which means that probably I should do it. Sometimes the things in life that are hardest for us and the worst thing for us, sometimes that means, hey, this is a deficiency. Like, maybe it's a sign that you should. So I think I should do it eventually. But as you can see, I'm already practicing a lot of disciplines, just like you are. And it's like, could you imagine if you had to add 100 miles every day and add this, add that? You just don't have enough time to be nice to yourself and just to relax. And that's why I'm struggling with the cold shower edition, because I'm going to get to it. But look, I'm already like, there's only so much discipline in a day. Like, when I'm done at the end of the day, I'm trying to get off the phone as much, but it's like, once I've already worked a billion hours on the podcast, on the projects, on this, that, the other, and sometimes I got to go make money and do my media stuff. So I'm already doing that. And I'm doing all the things we've already mentioned, and I'm doing working out a bazillion hours, or working out super heavy, and I'm doing this. I need to be able to lay on the damn couch, and play with my toes and like watch The Simpsons or something stupid. Or maybe in the spirit of your spirit, maybe you need to, just because you're not trying to be so plugged in, maybe you need to read a book or just lay back and take a warm shower or take a warm bath or
I take warm baths and I just read a book. Just
find some pleasurable thing just to let go, because there's only so much. You only have so much willpower, man. You can't just do every life hack in the book, because you're gonna go nuts.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not gonna go nuts. I don't even want to say that, because there's plenty of people who.
Because some people can do it.
Some people can do it.
Some people have the personality for it. Some people just can. That's their personality. And some people don't. Extreme. They're extreme.
My father is kind of extreme. My father.
I know your father.
He's had the extreme diet for a long time. The extreme workout, usually twice a day, I think, morning and night. But at least
he's ripped.
He's ripped. He's over. I don't even know how old he is. He's getting towards 60 now, but he looks really good. He's, like I said, he's keeping the most insane diet. He probably hasn't eaten out, man, in like a zillion years. He goes to church every week. He's got all these disciplines. He seems to never have fun. I don't know, but
for me, I want to go. I want to go to Italy and have a nice meal, and just swim in the ocean and
there's gonna be a lot of lectins.
Have adventures.
There's gonna be a lot of lectins.
Locked in a but fuck it, a little bit is fine as long as the core is stable. So I mean, just figuring out, man. I think journaling is a great tool for that. Just writing about your. I mean, maybe your morning routine for the first month is just like write about your life until you feel like there's some sense of it. If you have no idea what you like, because that's also real as well. That you have no idea what you want.
I think, I'm excited by this Tao Te Ching.
Let's try it out, man.
I'm trying it out.
We could even brainstorm some random cards of like what are some like things that we would like to do.
I'm gonna be so annoyed when the cold shower comes up. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
But it's good. It's good.
my tip for the cold shower, just breathe through it, you know? Like,
I know.
get calm. I said that last time. Just get calm and you'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a couple random things you can think of off the top of your head? Can you think of anything random that we
I
could
like
put
the journal
on Taoism?
idea. I like the journal idea. Yeah, we got the meditation. Obviously, what 15 minutes of meditation.
Maybe like just go on a walk. Just
Okay.
get out, walk.
That's not bad.
Maybe
Should it be more physical? Like, oh,
it
yoga.
could be anything. It could
Yoga
be
could be good. Yoga would be good
could be a
'cause
morning.
Open yourself up.
It could be
I
garden.
love to go to the gym in the morning. Like, and they also say that's when the testosterone is highest and stuff. But like, it's like, unless I have the gym here, which I don't, and I got to get in the car.
Getting in the car. It's a lot of things
over there,
to
do this, that, the other, and it takes now all of a sudden something that should have taken 45 minutes is an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I still do it sometimes, and it's kind of dumb. And then all of a sudden it's like 10:30, I'm getting to work, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, I agree. I that's why I don't go to the gym in the morning. It's too much.
Yeah. You don't do the gym out there though, right? You do
No,
that-
I just hit the woods. You know, hit up the woods.
Yeah, man. How nice is it out there, man? Is it tremendous? Like, you're near Shasta? No, not Shasta.
I'm pretty near Shasta. Yeah.
Where are you
Yeah.
again in Oregon? Where, Ashland?
Ashland, this little hippie town, man.
Oh, yeah.
Peculiar place.
Oh.
Very peculiar. Yeah, a lot of like healers, you know. But interesting, quite a rich cultural place and beautiful forest and lovely mountains and rivers. And come out, man, come out if you get
Well,
some.
I'm gonna try to come out, man. I'm definitely gonna try to come out.
Danny's coming next week, and
Yeah, I was supposed to come on that one, but it was happening so soon, and I'm
Yeah.
just been very overwhelmed with my work, man. It's just but it's been good though. It's good.
glad. Yeah, no, keep us going, man. Even if you just do it for yourself, you know, because you having good chats with people and exploring things, you know.
Yeah, and it's interesting how much you discover along the way. You know, at first, I mean, first of all, it was always like, I was like, what am I doing? I was trying to give an explanation. I was like, it's a show about the future, but it's also about life hacks, and I'll try to motivate you and all this stuff. And as time has gone by, most of that's still true. It's still a future-oriented show. We're trying to surf into the 21st century. There's still life hacks, trying to make ourselves the best we can be. But now we're getting into more commentary stuff and just talking about the present and talking about culture and pop culture and stuff. And it is what it is, man. I still like that too. I'm trying to make sure it's a variety show that's focused on like future, I guess. And and self-mastery, but it's also, there's still just other things that happen. And we got all these different segments coming out, and I want to have different points of view on. I'm so happy you got to come on, or you came on, because this is like the perfect tie-in for the first 10 shows of, like, because we talked so much about life hacking and
Right.
and trying to peel yourself together for the sake of the world. You know, the whole concept was like, we're trying to get self-mastery becomes world mastery. You know, make your bed, like Peterson says. If you're working for legitimate things, obviously, if you're gonna, this goes out the window if you're just gonna work for selfish, disgusting, terrible things. But if you have good hopes and dreams, then if you're self-mastering, that's only gonna make those things more manifest, and then the world's more manifest. And it's enlightened selfishness in a way, but it's also just. But anyway,
it's true. If you're in a good mood, then other people are gonna get into a good mood. You've noticed that when you're in a great state. If I'm in a great state and I teach a piano lesson, I feel like I imbue that lesson with such joy. Yeah. Or if I've really worked on myself a day and I feel very fulfilled, like you really make a difference. Like, you've been around people that just are full of love, full of light, and you're like, oh man, hell yeah, you just kind of, I'm feeling it now too. And that's why I think a really important element that we didn't talk about is just community, having some friends who were like supportive, who were trying, and you can have like, man, are you doing it? Yeah, I'm doing it as well. And you're having a rough day? Yeah, no worries. Let's cook a meal, whatever it is. I think that's an element that I've always overlooked for a long time.
Me too. It's only been during COVID that I started to reflect, break up, and realize just how social I am. Most people really are. Most people really are not. Even whatever artist you might be, you're really probably not like that much of like what am I trying to reference, like this
introvert or something?
I always had this like fantasy at one time, because I wanted to be a writer at a young age, and then I guess it's manifesting in all these colorful ways. But I always like had this fantasy of like Stephen King or like Charles Bukowski or whatever, who's just in his house away from society, like, and I guess they had like piles of coffee and cigarettes. I don't know why that was part of the aesthetic, but
I know that.
I don't do the cigarettes really, but just like all by yourself, and you're pounding out your masterpiece, and you don't need the world. It's all. But then like in the last year or two, I've started to realize the value.
Those guys had terrible lives for the most part.
Well, no, especially Bukowski. I don't know about King.
I don't know about King yet, but like I haven't read his biography or anything. But for example, have you read that book about morning rituals for like famous people and like artists?
No, I know that Tim Ferriss's podcast seems to be kind of getting into that kind of stuff. But
well, there's a little book. I think it's
called
Rituals and something, morning rituals of. But I remember I read through it. A friend lent it to me, and I read through quite a few of them. And I remember at the end of it, I was like, some of these people had really sad lives. Like, who was it? It was a classical composer, Chopin or something, who just was in a terrible mood all the time. Like he would have a melody he was writing, and a lot of these people were often writing with someone. You know, it was like a composer living with another composer, or two writers living together, maybe a dating or whatever it is, or two painters living together. And so they would write about each other's routines, and some of them would just be in these terrible moods, you know, because they'd have a melody and they lost it, or there was in such deep frustration trying to force that, you know. It's like fucking hell. And a couple of them had and I was like, that life just sounds arguably rubbish. Even if I did make the finest art ever made, you know, it's like, well, what was that worth it? I just had a terrible life, and I don't even know what exists after. This might be it. I just might turn into a little bit of rubble, and that's it. That's my blip of existence gone. And so it's like, oh man, I got to pick the ones that are cool. And there was a couple of people that had like really nice approaches that seemed like really full of fun. And Anthony Trollope, who's an English author who wrote like 200 books, wrote so many books. He's very prolific. And his thing was like, he just every morning, seemingly very jolly, would have his cup of coffee at 6 a.m. and just have some fun and write for 3 hours, you know, and then he'd work at the post office and have a very calm, very very low key life. But it seemed like it was very full, you know, and it wasn't full of like constant like thinking about his art, constantly thinking about what he needs to do, constantly. It's just like he did it in the morning and then he had a life, you know,
being like a whole person, being a whole person.
Yeah. Like, like, you know, that's way more important. I think
it's very important. I think it's very important. I think it's very important to tend to your family and your social circle and your friends, and that's it might be the most important. I mean, the social element is so important that's I don't know. That's what I'm all about. That's why I'm trying to somehow, and sometimes maybe it sounds absurd when I'm trying to tie in the self-mastery stuff into social element, but it's what I'm trying to do, because I believe that when you're like contented, like, because your goals include maybe, you know, being the best pianist you can be, being the best, or knowing more songs, or this, that, and the other. When you are actually on the course of doing that, you know, during the evening time when you see your friend or whatever, you're happier. You're like, hey, how's it going? Yeah. If you couldn't do that, or if you didn't do that, and you just were like, and you just got worse at the piano all the time, or whatever, you didn't put in the hours that you wanted to put in, you're going to be in a worse mood. And it's sort of like, it's almost like this weird thing where it's like there's only so much free will. Like you kind of have to do what you want to do, and then. And that makes the world weird.
You have to do what you want to do. Yeah,
weird.
You're limited. You're limited by your own desires.
It's getting weirder and weirder.
I don't know where this is going. Maybe we should end it kind of soon.
Who gave us these desires?
Yeah, it is like that, though, isn't it? What the hell's that about?
Well, this is what I've been thinking about. This is what happens when you're a philosophy major and all that. You just think about this type of bullshit, and you're just like,
I know. Just start shaking violently. Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, man, it's been wonderful to talk to you. I mean, I feel like there's so much more to say, but it's
we can do another one in a few months. I can give you, when I'm done with this, when I'm back in New Orleans, I can give you an update or something.
Well, like I said, if I do come out there, man, we'll do the deep Oregon. We'll go up to. What if we just like go to the top of Mount Shasta and then do a podcast?
Oh, I'm down. Let's do something crazy.
Yeah, let's do something like that.
Wicked, man.
But I love having you on, man. I mean, like I said, there's so much more to say, but you know, why try to squeeze it all in? This has been a wonderful conversation for me.
Yeah, man. Me too, bro. Me too. Let's do it again soon. And ciao. Peace and love.
Love you, bro. Good seeing you. I'm glad you're doing it big in Oregon, man. I'll catch you on the flip side.
Sounds good, man. Peace.
All right, peace, bro. Peace.
All right, and we're back. I really hope you enjoyed the interview with my good friend Sebastian Bharj. Really insightful character, really knowledgeable guy. Love him to death. He's my brother. Love the creative synthesis that happens with two people who think alike and have similar interests. I think that Tao Te Ching morning routine thing has really been changing me. Ever since I recorded this interview on Sunday, today's Tuesday, so it's been Monday, Tuesday, I've done this idea where I've got like so far I've had a list, but I'm going to make a bunch of index cards to choose randomly, because I've been choosing on the list randomly, of things to do in the morning for the morning routine. And I've been just doing one. So I think it's been working really well. This is so cool. Like, I'm hyped on it. My list includes things like cold showers, meditation, yoga, walk, try to talk to somebody like Seb was talking about, some other things. So far, cold showers has not come up yet, but when it does, I'll do it. I'm going to do it. And these things I'm only allowing maybe 15 minutes or so to do it. I'm usually just going to do one and going to do it. So basically at this point, my morning routine is I get up, I always make my bed, and then I always get a big glass of electrolyte water, which is usually basically just water, coconut water, some lemon, maybe salt, a little salt if I'm feeling dehydrated, but usually add about a gram or two of vitamin C, drink that big thing, glug, 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 and then I do one of these Tao Te morning routines. So look, a new idea is to make your morning routine more fun. Add a sense of randomness to it. So cool. So what worked for you? Electro water, meditation, mental imagery? What helps you be the best you can be? Leave it down in the comments below if you're on YouTube. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. I hope you had a great time listening to me and Seb talk about life hacking today. I love all you guys out there. And just remember, man, never forget.
Remember, keep it deep, homies.